Also, I'm gonna go turn my AC off.
Yeah, I already turned mine off. So unprofessional. This is what I'm dealing with on a weekly basis. Fucking cringe, Alex. Fucking cringe. Can't even hear me right now. I can shit talk him all day. They wouldn't even notice.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anime Club After Dark, the podcast that delves into all things anime, manga, and otaku culture related. My name is Alex, but you can call me Senpai, and joining me tonight, I just have our poser extraordinaire, Natai. And as you can tell,
how excited I am.
Yeah, as you can tell by the topic that's up here, and by the topic that is no doubt in the title of this episode, Natai and I are here to talk about another part of the Koyomimonogatari, or the Monogatari experience. This time with Koyomimonogatari.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say this is one of the more unique entries that we're going to be talking about in the Monogatari series.
Is this the worst Monogatari?
Is this fucking,
we got it with the clickbait.
There's the clickbait title. Is this the worst part of the Monogatari series? Is still better than 90% of anime. I mean, what? But no, this is it is certainly one of the more unique aspects of the Monogatari series, Koyomimonogatari.
Yeah.
I think no, come back. I think one thing that's worth talking about is certainly how this was distributed back in the day, because when this originally came out, it did not appear on television.
Nope, it never did.
This was originally, Koyomimonogatari was originally distributed on a smartphone app, both for Android and iOS. So this is essentially an ONA series instead of an OVA series. There was a new short episode each week, and these episodes are short, especially by Monogatari standards. Monogatari has this tendency to have episodes that are a little bit longer than the norm. You know, they stray into 24, 25, even 30-minute long episodes.
Yeah, especially with the OVAs that tend to get a bit longer.
Yeah, this one, they average around 14 minutes. Some are as short as 9.
Especially if you take out the OPs and EDs. And you get most of the episodes. Aside from like the final two, most of the episodes are about 10 minutes.
Yeah,
if you take out the OPs and
so
EDs.
it's a quick watch. You can watch the entire 12 episode run, I'd say, in less than 3 hours.
Yeah, pretty much.
Probably if you really were like speed running it, if you skip the OPs and EDs, you could probably get through the entire
in 2 hours
in 2 hours 15 minutes.
Yeah. 10 minutes per episode, 12 episodes. You could do it like 120 minutes.
You can do it. You can do it. Speed run it. Koyomimonogatari any percent.
And I did try, but I got bored.
that is something that we're going to talk about. And also, it's worth mentioning. So this, obviously, the entire Monogatari series is based on a novel series by Nisu Isan, which is worth reading. It is one of the best written light novels I think I've ever read. But it's worth mentioning. Huh?
Sorry. No, sorry, go ahead.
It's worth mentioning that this was originally done by Nisu Isan as a challenge to himself, to see if he could write a novel every single month.
No, that was Katanagatari. The funny thing, that was the one he challenged himself to write a book every month.
Yeah, but this was written.
But the funny thing is that alongside alongside doing that, he was writing another series, and he was doing Koyomimonogatari, which is like 12 short stories.
Which I feel like is probably he considered it part of the same challenge.
Pretty much, it's just him flexing for himself, and that's it. And like, I respect that.
I told you before we started recording, I respect the hustle. I respect the
definitely.
writing hustle. I really, really do.
The guy likes to write, and that's totally cool.
Yeah.
So, did you read the English translation for Koyomimonogatari as well?
I have, yes. I have to say that my opinion of it is kind of the same as my opinion of the anime. It's like, you know, aside from a couple of these stories, did we really need this?
Would you say it's a much better read than it is a viewing experience?
Yes.
Because that's kind of like, because as you're watching it, so again, each episode is a short story, and as
very short in some cases.
Yeah, very short. And as you kind of watch them, I can imagine how it's a very quick read because
Hmm.
most of these are not very complicated
No,
at all.
certainly,
At all.
certainly not in the traditional Monogatari sense for sure.
Yeah, there's like literally like one or two episodes that there's
There's substance.
something to, yeah, there's substance to and something to dig into, but it's
Yeah.
like most of them are just kind of fun dumb stories that like it's funny each episode it ends with the same monologue of our argument like, and now the punchline of this story
Yeah.
because it is kind of a really silly bunch of stories.
Which is kind of funny that they almost are referencing the fact, oh yeah, this is just for fun.
Mm-hmm.
um, it's also worth mentioning that we don't get any unique OPs for this. They reuse episode or let me try that sentence again. They reuse OPs from previous parts of the Monogatari series for each episode, except for the last two, which don't have OPs at all. So we have
Yeah.
like one thing that I thought was cool. I know you said that you skipped over all of them when you were watching this, but I actually like seeing some of the old OPs. I mean, especially for some of the
Yeah.
OPs that we never got to see for more than like once or twice, like Red Eye Circulation, for example.
Yeah, and like I, I'm totally okay with like the reuse of the OPs, and I like how they changed the title of the episodes as well in the OPs to reflect. Obviously, it's a different episode and story.
Hmm.
I at this point I'm so obsessed with these OPs. I've watched them so many times, and they don't really offer something new this time, so I felt really comfortable just skipping them because like it's
Um,
whatever.
we did get a unique ED for this. It's Wiz
Yes.
by an idol group called Trisail. Do you want to reveal for the people who one of the members of Trisail are?
So Triso is comprised of three seiyus who are actually singing their songs. And just right before we started recording, I was like reading into it. I was apparently one of them is none other than Sora Amamiya, which, for those of you who might not are not aware, is Aqua from Konosuba. So that's kind of funny, honestly. And I told you this before, but the moment I saw that, I was like, and listened back to the song, like that is her. It's like at that one I was like, shit, that is her.
I can hear that stupidity in that voice.
I can hear that cry.
That Kazuma, Kazuma.
That almost sounds. Wow, that noise was almost the exact same noise you made while you were eating the hot sauce.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh God.
But yeah, that was a really cool.
It's a
revelation.
nice little ED. You still got that like I don't know what you'd call it
That aesthetic, that
that
paper
trademark
sort of,
ED aesthetic, yeah, that we
yeah.
have in the Monogatari series, which yeah, I get again, I like. The song is also pretty nice.
What do you think of the sort of darker elements of that ED, where by the end of it, so Aragi is just being surrounded by all the girls in the series, and slowly they close in on him, and they just squash him to death, and he
It's
just falls over.
it
It's
reminds
kinda,
me it reminds me of that meme from The Simpsons. Chuckles, I'm in danger.
pretty much.
He really is. Which is kind of appropriate considering how this like arc ends, more or less. The
Yeah,
final episode, because the
yeah.
final episode is called Koyomi Dead.
Spoilers.
I mean, yeah, spoilers in this spoiler cast.
That's been going on for a year. Yeah.
Yeah, almost a year and a half now. But I do like the fact that you did include a quote from Nisio, the man himself, Nisio Isin, when he was asked about the novel Koyomimonogatari. He just said this novel was written on a 100% on a whim. What a Chad!
That's easy. That's what you get.
This is
That's the
this is
man.
100% Nisio Isin. Should we actually get
So
into
we have
it,
like,
though?
yeah. Let's go through these.
I
'Cause
want to
these are
say
not
for a lot
complicated.
of these episodes, we are kind of going to rush through them because there's not a whole lot, as we said, of substance to them. But we are going to go episode by episode. So episode 1 is Koyomi Stone. I like how with each one of these in the dog, you just start durr.
Because that's how it feels. So basically, like this episode. So honestly, actually, this specific episode is really interesting because a lot of it used a lot of it. It seems like I'm not 100% sure, but it seems like there's a lot of reused animation from Bakemonogatari from that very first scene of Araragi and Hanekawa in the class. At least that section feels like it's almost exactly the same one, just with different mouth flaps.
I
But
feel
like
like it's a lot of reused animation as well. It is also, I don't think we've said this yet. It's worth mentioning that these stories aren't told linearly. They jump around. So each
they
of these
jump around, yeah.
episodes takes place at a different point in the Monogatari timeline.
Yeah. So basically, this one takes place right at the beginning of Bake, where Hanako was like, there's a big stone over there. That's weird. And I wonder if it's an oddity because it's in a shrine. And Aragi's like, oh, that's weird. And the first few episodes are pretty much like that, where it's basically, oh, there's a weird thing over there. It's like, oh, that's weird. And the first 3 or 4 episodes sort of like connected in the sense of Aragi is like, oh, Oshino is like is is willing to give money in exchange for stories about apparitions.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh, maybe I'll like see what Oshino has to say, and Oshino is pretty much like, yeah, I don't think it's an oddity, and then they come to the conclusion that this like small stone in the shrine is like not really an apparition, but it's basically the shrine itself. Like Hanako comes to the conclusion that probably the shrine was made by someone who was in a crafts class, whatever it's called, and was probably not happy with it. And they noticed that the trash is like really close by, so probably instead of throwing it to the trash, he just left that little shrine there with the stone. And then, as like time moved on, people like thought it's a legit shrine, so they gave offerings. And then you have that really like small stinger at the end where it's like Araki is like, yeah, that was definitely my small shrine that I built. Whoops.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much
that's it.
the episode.
That's it. That's all that happens.
That's all there is to it. Which and like I guess I could try and reach for like, oh, like these episodes sort of deal with how like an apparition or oddity will be something that like, it depends if it's an actual oddity. It depends like how much thought you put into it being an oddity. You know, like what is an oddity, what is not. It's like, but it's very thin. There's like not really something here to.
I'd like to point out your internet must hate you tonight because your video keeps freezing. Your audio is fine. Your video just keeps freezing. Yeah, but I do like that there is that one little scene with Meme where he's like, is something an oddity because it's worshipped, or is it worshipped because it's an oddity?
Who knows?
Because who the fuck knows how oddities work in the Monogatari series?
They just do.
It
just works.
Yeah, that's literally episode 1. Episode 2 is pretty much the same thing. Actually, you can say a lot of the same thing about the first 6 or 7 episodes of Koyomimonogatari. It's literally about people finding stuff and there being some kind of misinterpretation of what it is.
And it's not really that clever. You know, it's kind of very, oh, I see. And that's it. It's not like, so the second episode is Koyomi Flower. And
there's a flower.
Like this. Yeah, there's a flower. So basically,
they put the Master Chief in the flower. Why does that send you every single time I do that voice?
It's that stupid voice. I don't know.
They put the Master Chief in the soda.
So dumb. But anyway, so this is basically after fucking Mayoi Snail arc from Bake. So Hitagi and Koyomi are walking home. And they're like, oh, there's a flower over there on the other side of the road. I wonder why. It's like, oh, maybe someone died here. But no, there's no crime scene. That's weird. And then Hitagi is like, interesting. I also saw a flower on the roof of the school. So Aragi goes to explore. And then after like kind of wondering about it with Oshino, it's like, oh, it's not because someone died. It's just to create a belief that someone died and prevent people from committing suicide or something like that. And it's like, it's whatever. I did like that little dance Hitagi and Koyomi had at the big, where he like pulls her away so she won't get run over by a car. It's like, oh.
I will say I really like that scene mostly because we got a little bit of Tsundere Hitagi again for the first time in a while, where she's like, "Don't touch me, you bitch."
There is a moment later on with more Tsundere Hitagi that I really liked, but yeah, this one was fine.
It's also good to see her with the long hair again.
Yeah, I love that design.
Is there any design of Hitagi that's bad?
No,
Because I don't think
Itagi is
there is.
perfect. No, Itagi is perfect.
This boys and girls, this comes from someone who is not super keen on tsunderes.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know. Of the women you're into, tsundere seems to be kind of low on your list.
Tsunderes are terrible human beings. Let's be
That's
honest.
the point. They're supposed to be, so they learn to become better.
I like it when she goes the baka moment. Oh, I love it. Fucking disgusting people.
um, but no,
I wonder though, who are my favorite tsunderes? Maybe that's a thought for another episode.
yeah. Maybe we should do an entire episode about tsunderes at some point.
Write it down.
Write it down. Write it down. No, that's it. That's really all there is to Koyomi Flower. I get it. There's a lot of times where there's scenes of a tragedy or a suicide. People put bouquets of flowers down as a memorial, and I get that, you might put one down preemptively to keep people from committing suicide in certain places, to give them something to think about before they make that decision. But that's all I got.
So for the next episode, I do want to give a quick shout out. I wrote it down. There are a lot of really cool, and actually there's like afterwards there are more of them, but some of the backgrounds in these episodes are great. I love them. So in the third episode, Koyomi-san, there is this scene where Hachikuji and Aragi are just like talking to each other, and they're this like
Hachikuji back.
Hachikuji. Yeah, I mean it's back in. I still think it's back in Monogatari, but basically they're like talking and just the usual conversation, and they're like near this like spherical structure, sort of like postmodern type of building or whatever, and like it just looks really really pleasant. I really dig the aesthetic of like the town.
As far as I can tell, a lot of the background art in this is unique. I don't remember any of this in any previous episode of Monogatari.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's actually either a rotoscoped or 3D animation, that sand, but it looks really good.
It's odd. Basically, the whole story here is like, oh, there's a face in the sand over there. It's like, all right.
And then it just turns out the whole punchline is that, oh no, it's a quirk of nature, a coincidence that made it look like that, because there's a fucking crack in the bottom of the sandbogs.
Basically,
it's just how the sand settled, and it just happens to it looks like a face. It's kind of like how people see things in clouds sometimes. It's not because of anything, it's just coincidence.
I think the next episode was one of my least favorites. It's so dumb.
Koyomi water.
It's so silly.
First of all, it's Kanbaru, so it's gonna be fucking ridiculous.
Like, she literally at one moment she's like, "Oh, I'm actually like Aragi's sex slave." It's like, oh, come on.
I mean, she said it multiple times at this point, so we're kind of used to it. But the whole thing with the seeing a reflection of yourself in the water, and it's like fucked up, and like you could mistake it for something else, I guess. It's a huge stretch.
So basically, what she's asking, so Aragi is coming over to help her organize her books again, and while he's taking a bath, and I do like that one bit a lot where he locks the door because she knows she would try to get in. Yeah. She's like, "Oh no, open the door!"
She's just pounding on that door, and there's a part of me that when I first saw this, like, she's gonna kick that door down. She's gonna kick that door down. I like how she does the striptease that she was gonna do in front of him anyway on the other side of the door.
Fucking disgusting.
Even though he can't see.
I like that she channels the Eric Andre meme of just like, let me in, let me in.
That was Eric Andre before Eric Andre.
Yeah, that's right. So basically the whole story is while Arag is taking a bath, she's like, "Oh, my dad actually used to see in the bath water. He saw a face, and he claimed it would be his like lover or whatever, and it would be his future wife." And it's like, no, it's just his reflection that was distorted. And I do like.
Is he supposed to be a narcissist? He wants to marry someone just like him.
Yeah, I know, right? But when Aragi sort of talks to Hitagi about it afterwards, you have the, like these, for some reason she's just stretching in that scene. So she does all these weird poses while she stretches and talks to him on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And like we get a lovely tsundere service where she's like shine, shine, shine.
Shine, 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 shine. He's like, you were naked in her bathtub. Shine, 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 shine.
Basically.
Uh,
And that's it. As you can see, there's a pattern.
there's definitely a pattern to this.
Although the next episode is way, way better than
As
the
you
ones
wrote down
before
here,
this.
finally some good fucking food.
So,
Koyomi Wind, let's
So-
talk about it.
all right. Well, okay. So, yeah. Koyomi Win is actually nice. So, basically, after everything that happened in Ise Monogatari, Nadeko is coming over for a party with Aragi. Karin is out. Tsuki is absent because obviously she knows what's up. She's just letting Nadeko have at it, apparently. And I do like all the popcorn where it's like, oh yeah, there's a party, so he just makes a shit ton of popcorn.
The
and it's
multicolored
like, in every
popcorn.
shot, there's like a pile of popcorn just like sitting around.
Or
It's great.
piles of popcorn just stacked.
Oh, just a stack, yeah.
Just stacked.
So basically, the entirety of this episode is Nadeko sort of wondering how come like Kaki's charms sort of like spread
Mhm.
during Issei Monogatari, and when she and Aragi talk about it, I like how they're watching this like film, and then it cuts to this like field of sunflowers, and amongst the sunflowers you see Kaki just like mingling over there.
Which do you get the symmetry or the symbology of that?
Not really.
Think
Would you
about
care to
it.
explain?
Sunflowers follow the sun, right? What does Kaiki do? As a con man, he
Cons
follows
people to
he
think-
follows the money.
Oh, he's
For-
in the money.
For sunflowers, the sun is life. For Kaiki, money is life.
I see. I burst out laughing when I saw that image, and it's so good.
I also like in that
Um,
image. It's one of the few times in the series you actually see him smile
Yeah,
because he is smiling
actually,
in that
yeah.
image.
So basically, they kind of wonder about it. Then it cuts to that scene when Aragi and Kaiki like meets Kaiki in the Mr. Donut store.
That's at the
And
end
they-
of
Tsuki Phoenix.
Suki Phoenix. Yes.
Yeah, so still Nisei. And then like Kaiki talks about something really interesting, that the only reason he succeeded is because there were no big rumors happening in the town when he was there. So if he would have tried to pull off this con when like the whole shit with Kiss Shot happened back in Kizu, would have probably it wouldn't succeed, because as we saw in the movie, people were like, there were rumors of this vampire going around.
Yeah.
So it sort of took the advantage of that there was nothing really going on in the town at the time, and spread the rumors about the bad relationships between the middle schools. It sort of let that whole thing that was already disintegrated sort of like just like blow up.
Mm-hmm.
Thus, people were searching out his charms. Not necessarily
his
he was
charms
like,
wouldn't have worked. Oh, they worked in the sense that the relationships are already so deteriorated anyway that what he said
Yeah.
the charms were going to do would have done it anyway, even if he hadn't been there.
yeah. It's just like he made money off of it, and basically like it's not that the charms ruined the relationship between the middle schools. It's that they were already deteriorating. Thus, people were seeking out the charms.
Yeah.
Which
Which-
is interesting, I guess. Like,
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be an examination of how easy it is to actually spread rumors when there's absolutely nothing going on.
yeah.
Because people are always like, I don't know, seeking out drama.
As a kid, who the fuck knows what's going on in their brains, you know?
I mean, you used to be
Kids
one,
are dumb.
Natai.
What? What are you talking about?
You used to be
What
one.
do you mean? We don't talk about that. I
we
did
don't,
like
we
that
don't
whole
talk
bit-
about your goth phase, do we?
So basically, I did like that one sentence where Kaiki is like, "This generation is just bad. They're the worst."
I like it. He says that, but the generation is easiest to con because they're so stupid.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, he's taking advantage of it because he's a piece of shit. But yeah, it actually benefits him that they're so bad.
I like how he still points it out, even though it's just to his benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I will say, yeah, this is the first episode where we get any kind of substance. And of course, it's because Best Girl is finally back. The true best girl in Monogatari, Kaiki.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I miss him. I miss him so much.
And then we get to episode 6, Koyomi Tree, where we just get a montage of Karen's boobs.
It's so it's so in your face about it.
Literally,
It's like
it's literally in Koyomi's face.
like I don't remember Karen being this horny, you know? Actually, maybe never mind.
So
You know
this
what?
happens. I'm pretty sure this is supposed to happen after the events of Nisei
Nisei,
Monogatari,
definitely.
which
Because her hair is short, so actually
her hair
that
is
does make
shorter,
sense.
and it makes me think like, did the whole toothbrush thing just like is it like a Pavlovian response now? Just every time she sees Koyomi, it's like, I gotta fuck him.
I did like when she talked, like, again, most of that scene and conversation is like really dumb, and it's nothing. It's just a nothing burger. But I did like that one scene that one moment where she's like, "Boobs dwell in bro's head," and you just see him like a Buddha, like in the universe, and like his head is just thinking about boobs. It's great.
I like you wrote down here. Karen is very gropey. Karen is very rapey.
I was thinking about writing rapey, but I was like, oh, maybe I'm just like taking it too harshly. But yeah, it was.
I don't know.
It was a lot.
She's dishing out exactly what Koyomi dished out to her in Nisei Monogatari. So,
I suppose.
Guys,
guys, they're siblings. It's fine, guys.
Yeah,
it's
it's fine. It's fine. Don't knock up your sister.
all right.
Sweet
home.
But anyway, there's a tree at Karen's dojo that no one wants to, or everyone wants to cut down because it just appeared out of nowhere.
It's like, how can you not notice that a tree just what the fuck? This is so stupid. How can you not notice that a tree just grows in the back of your dojo?
I don't know. How did Koyomi not remember that he was the one that made that fucking box?
I guess it's so dumb. Basically, so yeah, Karen is like upset because she likes the tree and people want to cut it down because it's bothering them or something. And then like I like that scene a lot where Araki is like, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it." Cuts to Hanakawa, "I need help. I don't know what to do."
Hanakawa, he's like Liam Neeson. Hanakawa, quickly.
So basically, she suggests like saying that the tree is the same tree the dojo is made of, thus saying like the tree is like the guardian angel,
guardian
or,
of
like
the dojo.
The deity, yeah, the guardian deity of the dojo or something, and it works.
Because Karen is stupid.
Yeah, that too. Speaking of stupid sisters, Koyomi T.
By the way, I don't know if you've noticed this, or if you even like checked. So all of these episodes are named in English, basically. Like they all have Koyomi in the title, but all of the words that come after that, which are all words that have, associated words in Japanese, they're written not in Japanese.
Oh wait, it's that how it is originally?
Yeah, that's the actual titles they're not written in kanji. So, like, Koyomi Stone, the actual name of the episode is Koyomi Suton. The Koyomi flower is Koyomi Furawa. Koyomi San, Koyomi Sando. Like, all of these words, there are words for them in Japanese, but for whatever reason, they chose not to use it. And they just chose to, like, transliterate the English words for them.
Transliterate?
Yeah.
That's an actual word?
Yeah.
Transliterate?
Yes.
Translate?
No.
You don't mean translate?
Transliterate. Go look it up. It's a word. I know English.
Is that like the transliterate? Give me 1 second.
Oh, I got it. We're gonna English lesson live here on Anime Club After Dark.
Transliteration. What? This is news to me.
See, I know things.
Transliteration is a type of conversion of a text from one script to another that involves swapping letters in predictable ways. For instance, for the modern Greek term, I have no idea how to pronounce that. I'm gonna stop right there. All right, I was wrong.
Natai, it's almost
Never
like I
heard this
know
word.
things.
Wait, you speak English?
This is what I do. I drink and I know things.
I drink.
Drink. But yeah, Koyomi tea. Tsukihi is dumb. That's literally the crux of this episode. She has a tea club. Apparently, tea ceremony clubs are a thing. I actually looked this up. I was like, "What do you do besides do the tea ceremony once?"
Just tea. It's
just
isn't
tea.
it literally K-On? It's just tea.
No, it's tea and cake.
I see.
K-On is tea and cake. The K in K-On stands for cake.
The K in K-On stands for cake, not for KKK.
Natai.
Carry on. I'm sorry. That
Control
was
yourself. We already know how you feel about Asians.
bad. God fucking damn it! I was in a moment of pain.
Considering
Anyway,
the fact that you are one.
no, I'm not.
The Middle East is part of Asia, my friend.
It's not a. We're not going there. We're not going there right now.
Anyway,
That's the problem with Koyomimonogatari. Doing other shit.
I
is more
know it's like
entertaining
we
than
want to talk
talking
about
it.
anything else. So the Tsuki's tea club thinks that there's an eighth member of their club who is a ghost. There are 7 members of the club. But Tsuki's like, no, fuck it. There's no ghost. This is not a Moaning Myrtle situation we have here. What? And Natai, what is the grand solution to this problem?
Oh, you just lie, of course.
Of course.
So dumb. Like,
the lie that they tell Tsukihi is that that the club was telling her this because she takes too much of the supplies from the club for herself, and they didn't want to make her feel bad.
so fucking stupid. And she falls for it.
And she falls for it again
it's
because
so
she's dumb.
It's like I get like there's a moment that where like, well, Tsuki has this like very strong sense of justice because she's part of the 5 sisters, so she's like, but it doesn't go. It doesn't really. There's nothing to it. It's really stupid.
You're right. There's literally nothing to it. That's it.
I feel like rewatching Koyomimonogatari made my opinion of it go like just like it's not great. It's just whatever.
Anyway, next episode is episode 8, Koyomi Mountain. We get the Spooky Yugi.
This one is actually fine.
Yeah, I actually kind of like this one. And of course we get Spooky Yugi and Nautiko. This one takes place shortly after the Nautiko snake thing, where she meets the snake creature thingy.
It's not a Gobadu's arc. Like, it's right at the beginning of it.
It's before she becomes like the god and like takes over the shrine.
Right.
But I do like the fact that you see that close up of the arm and she's got the scrunchie.
Yep. It's really cool detail. Like,
yeah, Ogi and Koyomi are exploring the snake shrine on top of the mountain, and they talk about how the shrine wasn't originally at the top of this mountain. It was actually somewhere else, and the whole thing becomes like a riddle, like, well, how do you move a shrine without moving a mountain, essentially?
Yeah. It's like the steps weren't there. How did they manage to move the entire thing? It's like they're sort of like wondering about it. And it's also like, I like how the scene is like shot in the sense of it's like Ogi is talking to Araki, but I she's like scouting the area almost. Like she's like looking for stuff. She's like trying to see how it's all like. She's pretty much just scouting the area. And then she goes on to talk about like how they need to create countermeasures and how like bad things used together in this shrine because like there was no deity there. There's like a void or something.
Mm-hmm.
And like you need to create a countermeasure. And of course it goes all like past Araki's head. Which is funny.
Just whoop.
Yeah, so but then it cuts to Aragi's room with Nadeko when they sort of again ponder more about the nature of the move from like one mountain to the new mountain, and they sort of come to the conclusion that, well, it wasn't really like a move of like moving the shrine, but more like technically just kind of building a new shrine in the mountain. And yeah, it keeps getting like it keeps like cutting back and forth to Nadeko with like the scrunchie, and she looks very ominous with
and
like
she
gleeful smile.
very nearly gives it all away.
Yeah, I love that moment when she mentions the snake's name, and then you have these like three shots of like her, so like, oh shit, what did I just say? Oh no no
And then
no!
she very quickly corrects herself.
Yeah.
I did like that. That
scene.
was a nice little touch. And yeah, like the
Also,
whole thing
like,
is they cleared out the space where the shrine is now. They used the wood from that to build the new shrine, and the only thing they really moved from the old shrine to the new was the actual object of worship.
yeah. Also, I do want to give a shout out to the references as Koyomimonogatari because there are a lot of really cool references. Like when in the third episode, when Hachikuji is talking to Aoragi, and it's like, oh wait, you didn't like, you still have this debt to pay for Oshino. It's like, oh shit, I have this debt. It cuts to him like shaped like he's looking like Kaiji from like
from Kaiji the Gambler,
Shop of
yeah.
Gambling. Yeah, which is fantastic. I love the Attack on Titan reference in one of the episodes, where it's Aragi like over the wall, and it's just, there are a lot of really cool references.
There are.
Koyomimonogatari, I will give it that.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for Koyomi Mountain, and then we get to episode 9, Koyomi Taurus. This episode is literally about Koyomi and Shinobu arguing over donuts. That's it. That's all that happens. I will say, cool little like insight into the relationship between Koyomi and Hitagi, because Hitagi is the one that makes the donuts by hand for Koyomi, and Shinobu points this out like, this isn't Mr. Donut Donuts.
Yeah, I love that part. I do like it a lot. Like the first shot of the episode is like Sajukahara making the actual donuts, and it's really cute. I do like that bit a lot. I like it's a fun episode, but there's literally nothing to it.
I like how this is
it actually
early enough in the Monogatari series. It's still a little bit far along, but it's early enough where Shinobu still doesn't fully trust Hitagi.
No, I think they say it's December.
Yes.
So it's like it's near like the finals, and that's why because Hitagi is with the short hair at this point. But Araki does mention that like they never met really, like Shinobu and Hitagi, they never really had any conversation. That's why she's still kind of like.
But she doesn't really trust. Like, she knows about her, obviously, but she doesn't trust her, like, because she thinks that the donuts are poisoned. It's like, I have to taste test them.
So basically, like they make so she said, yeah, I'll taste test the donuts for you, and then they have this little game. It's like, oh, like who gets to eat all the donuts? So Shinobu says, I'll hide them, and if the donuts you can't find, you'll keep, but if there are some you can't find, then I'll keep them for myself.
And Koyomi's like, you're just gonna eat them.
Yeah, basically. But is that actually a thing? Because they show how she basically like opened one of the donuts and placed a small donut in it. Is that actually a thing?
I'm sure it's physically possible to do. I've never seen it done. How
did she do that?
Because
it's a really stupid episode.
It is. Like, it really is. Anyway, episode 10.
Man, that was quick.
Koyomi Seed, which if you think about it is kind of nasty. But
shut up. Stop.
So this takes
place.
He's
a grown-ass man, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Hey, pee-pee poo-poo humor is the best. What are you talking about? I'm a Rick and Morty enjoyer. What are you talking about? No, so this takes place during Hitagi End.
Yes. I like this episode quite a bit, actually.
And it kind of does a little bit to explain why and how Koyomi and Kaiki never actually saw each other, despite Kaiki being in the town.
Yeah.
Because you have Ononoki comes around and is like, she tells Koyomi, hey, I'm searching for something. You want to help me search for it? And he's like, well, what is it? And it's like, I don't know, but I was told I'll know it when I see it.
That image of like Aragi like just finger? Standing on her finger.
Yeah.
So ridiculous. It somehow works. It's ridiculous,
it's really funny. But you know that's just Monogatari.
Yeah,
like that's one of those shots where you see it, and even out of context, you know it's Monogatari.
And I think it's really like fun and like really silly explanation how come like they managed to never like how come like Aragi and Kaiki never meet in Itagi, and it's basically just like Ononoki stalling for time and trying to make sure that Aragi stands out as much as possible so they wouldn't meet. And yeah, I did like that one scene where like he talks to Anikawa about that situation. She's like in the Dead Sea. I thought it was really, I like that.
Yeah, that's a nice little touch.
Hanekawa's the Dead Scene is great.
Also, we got a lot of original background art for the town.
Yeah.
In winter, which looks amazing.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
I do actually appreciate this, even though there's not a whole lot to it. I think that visually, it's one of the better looking episodes of this arc. Actually, just all of the episodes in the Monogatari series that take place in winter are beautiful.
Yeah.
And then we get on the last two episodes are the ones that really have any kind of substance, I think. Particularly the last episode, because it leads us directly into the third part of Owari Monogatari. But the second to last episode, Koyomi Nothing, episode 11, it takes place shortly before the thing with Kaiki and... Or no, it takes place before that.
No, it's after. It's in February, actually.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So it's afterwards. So basically, like, it's the aftermath of that whole event is Aragi sort of realizing that he needs to train and be better and, like, not rely as much on Shinobu's powers because that will just make him
Weak.
turn more into a vampire. Yeah. And he doesn't want to do that. And, furthermore, it's, like, also after the kidnapping of Kanbaro and his sisters with Tadatsuru back in Tsuki Monogatari. So that's also, like, really cool that him trying to just get better after that event.
Yeah.
And so he trains with Kagenui. She beats his ass like as usual. And then he like talks about Ononoki. It's like, hey, so like, what is your relationship? And there's like a really clever moment there where she's like, oh, I mean, she's just like my familiar. She's like, there's nothing more than that. It's like, well, I don't know. Like when she talks to you, she refers to you as One-chan. But whenever she talks to everyone else, she will like keep their name alongside the Oni-chan or One-chan.
Or she'll do some kind of a nickname like she does with Koyomi. Oni-chan, which is Devil Boy.
Yeah, which is like, so and I really like that moment. And then you see Kagami is sort of like reserved about it. And she's like, if you manage to land one like shot on me, then I'll tell you about it. And then I like how he goes to Karen's like, please teach me how to do it. I need to be a better fighter. And somehow we cut to them being in the pudding shower for some reason.
Natai, at this point, it's the Monogatari series. You got to expect just casual nudity.
That fucking moment where Aragi is like, it's like, oh, don't you want me to like rope your breasts, Karen? It's like, no, no, of course not. But then Aragi's like, but think about it. Either I grope it without you wanting it, or I grope it with you wanting it. So it's like, oh, of course I want it. Of course I prefer that it happens when I want it. It's like, what am I even watching here? God fucking damn it. Nisio Isen, can you stop jerking off to your characters, please?
What you're watching, Natai, is people wanting to engage in incest but realizing they shouldn't. That's what you're realizing.
But like, so basically after that happens, Karen's like, well, maybe she told you, maybe she made that sort of like deal with you so you wouldn't ask, like, to sort of like not really talk about her relationship to Ononoki.
Yeah, she made it such an impossible challenge that you couldn't win because she really didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, which is like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And then Shinobu grants him a donut pistol, and like,
which looks really funny,
cute,
but kind of cool at the same time.
Yeah. And
I like it. The solution is, well, if I can't kick her in the face, I'll just shoot her in the face.
Which is actually kind of smart, not gonna lie. Like, could work.
I mean, you say that, but it's also a homicide, Natai. He's contemplating homicide.
It's a donut pistol. Who the fuck knows what it's gonna shoot? Probably not something that's like lethal.
Cream.
Anyway, he goes to the shrine, and there he sees that like Kagenui is gone, and that's how the episode ends very abruptly. Which I like. And now we get to the final episode.
Yep, the final episode, which is called Koyomi Dead. Now, this is the one episode I say that you kind of have to watch. This is the episode that I makes Koyomimonogatari, I think, required viewing, especially while you're watching Owari Monogatari season 1 and 2, because this one episode, as short as it is, because I think it's like the second shortest episode of the entire season.
It's 9 minutes.
It's in terms of runtime, I think it is like the second shortest, because I think there is one that's only like 8.5 minutes. But this one directly leads into Owari season 2 slash Owari part 3. And it kind of picks up right where the final episode of the first season of Owari Monogatari left off.
That's right.
With Koyomi going off to take the college entrance exams, right?
Yeah, basically it's a college entrance exam, and like there's a funny bit at the beginning where Itagi is like, I don't remember the sort of analogy she made about like how people are bound to encourage certain things, and she's like, you always she tells Araki, it's like you're always bound to meet apparitions for some reason, and she's like, the only thing that's like blocking you from actually going to college right now is not necessarily the exam, but maybe some bullshittery that happens on the way. So she's like, as long as you make it to the actual finals, you'll be fine, and then we can go to college together, which is a very sweet moment between the two.
Which, if you've been paying attention, we already know happens.
Yeah.
Because Hana Monogatari is a thing.
So basically, Aragi, ever since like the previous episode, has been going to the shrine all the time, because Kagenui is gone for some reason, and now he finds Gain at the shrine for some reason.
And she knows everything.
She does know everything, and she reveals to him that she's the one who sort of like took Kagenui out. Now, they never specify what does that mean, if she literally killed Kagenui, or maybe for some reason she just like let her go, or we never get a clear answer if Kagenui is just dead or not.
Well, I mean, yeah, she kind of says that I took care of Kagenui, and no one knows where Meme is. Kaiki's just fucked off.
I mean, technically, we don't even like at that point. You're not sure if Kaiki is even alive.
Yeah, at this point, Kaiki kind of faked his death a little bit. So
it even seems like Gain is not sure if he's alive, even, which is really cool that he managed to sort of escape her.
It's almost like all three of those people knew that Gain was up to something.
Yeah. So basically, what she did is that she took out Kagenui because she was like the main force protecting Aragi. Because if Kagenui is out of the picture, then because she is the master of Ononoki, then Ononoki is just like
a doll.
Won't be as powerful.
She's a doll.
Yeah, she's just a doll at that point.
She's not even. It's not a bodyguard anymore. She's literally just a doll without a purpose.
Yeah, and then basically like we get a sense of like Gain just like completely tearing all the barriers that were sort of like protecting Aragi, which is, as we said, Kagenui, which leads to Ononoki being kind of not really a threat. Also, Shinobu has been sleeping, and she's in her weakened state as a vampire. She's also not really powerful right now, and like so we get a sense of it's like, guess Aragi's kind of fucked.
Well, they liken, or where she likens the situation to playing shogi without a king, or playing. I mean, in the West, you could think of it as playing chess without a king. Like every piece on a chessboard or a shogi board, except the king, can be sacrificed.
Right.
So Gain wants to upend the game and sacrifice the king.
It's funny how Aragi at first is like, she's like, who do you think is the king? And Aragi is like, well, it's definitely not me. I mean, and she's like, so yeah, currently there's like no king in town, and there's like, which goes back to the whole thing of like the deities, like there was no deity in the actual shrine where they meet, even though Nadeko used to be the god who resides in the shrine. Currently, there's no one. And Gain wants to fill that void that happens there. There's like a vacuum there that occurred because there's no one in the shrine.
It kind of harkens to that old saying that nature abhors a vacuum. And that's...
Yeah.
It also makes it seem like Gain believes that a big part of the reason why the town is kind of fucked up, and this was also mentioned in Owari Part 1 as well, that
right.
Because of this power vacuum, essentially, that's why all of these things keep happening.
Mm-hmm. And basically, she said, "Well, all as we mentioned, all the specialists are kind of fucked off.
Mhm.
So it's only left to Gain to actually do something about it. And she claims what she needs to do is to stop Araragi from acting. She claims that if Aragi would act, the other side, as she calls it, would act as well. And she thinks that both of them are dangerous. Now, I like that while this entire monologue is happening, we get like this sort of like we get these different cuts to a lot of different characters. I think almost all the characters in the entire Monogatari series, like we get a shot of like Ogi and even Oikura. We get a shot of Kanbaru's mom, which is very interesting. Like we
At
see her on the
first, because
train there.
it starts off with Hitagi, and throughout the course of this, you actually see her getting ready to go to the school and meet Koyomi there. So at first, when it started cutting to people, I thought, "Oh, is this what they're doing in their daily lives while this is all going on for Araragi?"
The fucking car scene with
Yes.
Itagi gave me a heart attack. I forgot about that. When she's crossing the road and just a car just like breaks right before hitting her. That was like I forgot about that part.
and then it cuts to black. It cuts to just black, nothing, just black.
Yeah. It's like, why would you do that, Shaft? Why would you do this?
But now, when I first saw that, like, is it just people going about their day? But then I saw characters who I knew were dead,
Or not around.
or very much not around.
So yeah, it's interesting that we see Kanbaru's mom. I think you're the one who confirmed it to me that it is definitely Kanbaru's mom.
Yes.
On the
You
train.
also
So
you also get a shot of Mamaragi as well.
we also get a shot of wait, where do we see Mamaragi? We see Senju Kahara's dad driving her.
There's
I don't
that one
remember
scene.
Mamaragi.
It's in the middle of that whole thing where you see a bunch of characters right in succession, and one of the characters in there is just a short glimpse of Mamaragi, and you actually see her full face.
Wait, that's not Kanbaru's mom on the train?
That is Kambaru's mom on the train, yes, but there's also a scene that a flash that takes place right after that. You know the characters start flashing by quicker and quicker and quicker until we go back to
I see.
Araragi. It's like one of those things. It's on there for like maybe 2 or 3 frames, and it's one. If you blink it, you miss. But she is definitely there.
I like that how that sequence is edited because it sort of adds to the tension of like how like what the fuck is going on, right? Like I think it's the entire episode I think is like very well paced. It's the best episode of the bunch, obviously.
You said there's a lot of tension in that.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of dread and tension that's like being built up because it's like the moment you see Gan, it's like that's kind of strange. So yeah, basically she talks about how she needs to stop like whatever the fuck is going around in town, and it definitely alludes to Ogi, which we still have no idea what she's up to at this point. And she claims that the only way for her to stop like whatever is happening, dispel this sort of darkness that is engulfing this town, is to kill Araragi. And if you remember, back in Shinobu Mail, the armored set of the first minion was like left behind, but then like Araragi was questioned about it by Ogi. It was like I'm not sure what happened with it. Well, now we know what happened with it. They used it to create a new like sword, the Kokoro Watari sword that Kishati used.
And she just pulls it out and starts wielding it and just cuts the fuck out of Koyomi.
Yep, and that's how it ends. And then we get that another like quick scene of Hitagi calling him, and he's not picking up because obviously
I like the fact that when as Gaian's approaching him, right, you hear the phone in his pocket start to go off.
Yeah, it's great.
And he's not. He doesn't reach for it. He doesn't try and answer it. And then you have that scene where she slices him up with the sword. And then you immediately cut to Hitagi pulling out the phone and making the call.
Yeah, it's great. It's a real like again the editing in this episode is fantastic.
And you think that might be how it ends on like a cliffhanger like that, but then there is an after credit sequence after the ED. All of a sudden you see Koyomi kind of wake up in what looks like almost like a parched, like it looks like it's very hot wherever it is because you got those like the lines coming up off the ground.
It's really white.
It's very white. It almost looks like it's the entire scene is bleached out almost. But it looks like it's in front of a school, and it looks like it may be in front of
a tree or something.
a
It's
tree,
not
like
really
a playground,
certain.
maybe like a kindergarten playground, preschool playground, something like that.
But then we hear a very familiar voice.
Yes, we hear a very familiar voice. Koyomi has this like familiar, or when she does that thing where she's adadabadabi. Sorry, I bit my tongue.
Chigo.
And then all of a sudden, like almost out of like habit, Koyomi just starts reciting something about, hey, don't say my name like da 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 da, and then like in the middle of it, he's like, wait a minute.
Oh shit.
He opens his eyes, and there she is in the flesh. It's Hachikuji.
And that's how it ends. And I think it's a really good cliffhanger, and that leads directly into Owari season 2.
Yes.
Which yeah, that's the next section of Monogatari cover, and we're very close to the end.
We're getting there. We got 2 parts left. We got the second season of Owari, which I think for our purposes we're just gonna label it as Owari Part 3 for our Spoilercast.
Definitely.
And then Zoku Owari, and then we're done. We're
getting there.
Let's see. There's 7 episodes of Owari 2 and 6 episodes of
Zoku.
Yeah. So
we're getting there.
We're almost done.
We're actually getting there. So, what are your thoughts on Koyomi upon rewatching it?
You mentioned it earlier, and it's one of those things where upon rewatching it, it's something that I don't have as high of a regard for as when I first watched it. I'll say,
to be fair,
the first few episodes are really boring.
It's not great. I think there's like a total of 3 episodes that I genuinely enjoyed.
I'd say there's 4
Koyomi.
for me. I really enjoyed Koyomi Wind. I enjoyed the last 3 episodes as well. I like See Nothing and Dead.
Yeah. It just first time I watched it, I remember giving it a 5, and because it's just whatever. It's funny because I do wonder what it's like going into Owari season 2 without watching it, and I think we'll like get more of a sense of that next time we get to talk about Monogatari. Because, like, yeah, I think that last 2 episodes are like kind of like that's the main reason to watch Koyomi, but kind of makes you think if maybe it's not really that. I don't know. I was conflicted on whether I'd ever want to go back and watch Koyomi, because after this, I think I kind of had my fill of it. I'm kind of okay with it.
Yeah.
Just not watching it again.
I know there's a lot of people.
It is what it is.
A lot of people, myself included, think that like the first 10 episodes are, well, yeah, I'll say the first 10 episodes are really just kind of, you can take it or leave it. There's something that like they make good 3 or 4 page long short stories, I guess. Little vignettes into little aspects of the characters' lives. Honestly, they could have just edited the final 2 episodes together as a single OVA episode and called it a day.
Yeah, like, again, I respect Shaft for like wanting to adapt the entirety of Monogatari. It's really, really cool.
So they say. We'll see.
And we'll see. And again, shout outs to like the background throughout most of these episodes. Like, I think there are like 10 episodes here with a lot of really unique backgrounds that I really enjoyed.
Despite some of the reused animation,
fine. Yeah. I think only the first episode was like very blatant about some of the reused animation, but it's fine. Some people might get a kick out of just getting more time with these characters. I know personally, it just doesn't really grab me that much, because most of these episodes are just it's a weird thing over there.
It's really just about misunderstandings, really.
Yeah.
Like, I'd say about 70% of the episodes are literally just about misunderstandings.
Yeah. It's whatever.
I don't know. It's certainly, in my opinion, the weakest part of the Monogatari series overall.
Yeah, I agree.
And honestly, if it weren't for those last 2 episodes, I'd say you'd be good to just skip this if you're really just looking for like a proper Monogatari experience. But it is because of those last 2 episodes. I think it is required viewing if you're going to go through the entirety of Monogatari.
And it is a very quick watch. Like, I rag on about it, but it is a very quick watch. Like, each episode, when you skip the OP and ED, are like 10 minutes. Like, you can get through it pretty quickly. Most of it is not that great.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're someone who really likes just the characters of Monogatari and you just want to see more, you'll probably absolutely love Koyomimonogatari, because you're just getting more of the characters that you love.
Yeah. But
really, if you want to skip it, just watch the last 2 episodes and you'll get more than enough to get you to Owari season 2.
Yeah, basically. It's It's fine. It's not great.
It's fine for what it is. I genuinely think it is the weakest part of Monogatari. It certainly shows.
Yeah, no
It
contest.
certainly shows in terms of its writing. Again, but aside from the last two episodes, that this was written at a time when Nisu Hisun was busy with something else.
Yeah, you can tell it was written on a whim.
It was. You can 100% you can tell this was written on a whim. But I will say, for something that was written on a whim and probably didn't go through a lot of rewrites, it's not bad.
Turned out okay.
Yeah.
It's fine.
But anyway, that's Koyomimonogatari.
We're done. We finished it.
Well, we're not done with the entire series just yet.
Oh no, we still got two chunky few episodes. To watch.
The next part is going to be really chunky because we get to the entire crux of the Monogatari series in those 7 episodes.
Holy shit!
3 arcs,
4 hours long discussion.
Yeah. And then we get Zoku, which is something I think is just kind of fun, and it's something you've never even seen before.
Yeah, I'm generally excited to watch Zoku because I've never watched it. I managed to avoid spoilers about it, so it's been a good few years since the first time I got to experience something new from Monogatari.
I think the only thing you genuinely know about Zoku Warrior Monogatari is that creepy Ononoki smile.
It's so good.
I think that's the only thing you legitimately know about Zoku.
And a new design for one of the characters, but
yeah,
we'll
I
get
wouldn't
to
say
it.
that's really a spoiler though if you don't know the context.
No, it's not it's plastered all over the
you're talking about the one for Sodachi, and it's literally the key art for the entire series or the entire part.
Yeah, it's just the key art. I don't consider that a spoiler.
But
we'll get there when we get there. We still have one chunky season left.
And then after we're done with the spoiler cast, I think you and I are going to have a little bit of fun and do some rankings. To kind of end it out. I'm looking forward to that a lot. And then I think we're going to take a break after that, and then you and I are going to come back with and maybe Chinoda and John as well if they want to join. We might be doing JoJo's after this.
We'll see how that goes. One step at a time.
One step at a time. Let's get done with this first. Anyway, thank you all out there for dropping in to listen to us. Check the description below where you can find links to Anime Club After Dark on Twitch, on social media, and on Discord. By the way, you can check out our merch store. Any purchases you make there really do help us out, where you can get something like this to drink out of.
But Alex, do they ship internationally?
As far as I know, the Streamlabs store does ship internationally. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 countries they don't ship to. One of those is North Korea. I mean, it makes sense.
I suppose.
But we have a bunch of other merch there you can buy too if you want to support us that way. If not, feel free, comment, subscribe. That really helps too. Also, for those, we mentioned it a couple of times already, but we're on YouTube now, and you can see our beautiful smiling faces. Hi, Mom.
You can see my dick. You can see my dick right here.
You can see his dick is out and about, it's having a good time.
I imagine the listeners being like, "What the fuck is he on about?" Check out our videos to see.
Yeah, check out our videos to see. One of our big goals this year is to get us to the point where we can apply for YouTube partners. So comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And check us out every single week. With that, though, I have been your host, Alex, and I will see you next time. Say goodnight, Natai.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. Fucking stone.
You can tell this party is so weak because we're genuinely just distracted by other topics aside from Koyomimonogatari. God damn it.
It's we spent half the time just trying to get on anything else.
That isn't Koyomimonogatari. Fucking Nitsio Ising.
I know, right?